Yo, we back with episode 16 on What If Goku is Raised by Frieza. And in this episode, future Trunks will clash against the female Perfect Cell in his original timeline. Also, this video could have been two parts, but I decided to finish this arc in this video, so you're welcome. Anyways, let's go with a little story recap. So last time, Kakarot takes Trunks to Kami's Lookout. His destination was to find the Room of Spirit and Time to train for a year and one day with Trunks. The pair entered the time chamber ready to improve. Kakarot teaches Trunks some of his signature moves like the Death Beam. He also taught him the very useful instant transmission technique. Afterwards, they work on the grades of the Super Saiyan 1 transformations. And eventually, Kakarot triggers some sort of trauma within Trunks that causes an uncontrollable Super Saiyan Rage transformation. I basically mixed his Rage form from Dragon Ball Super with the Super Saiyan Grade 3, or some people call it Super Saiyan Ultra Trunks. Anyway, they have a battle and Kakarot is saved only because Trunks ran out of energy in his unhinged transformation. Kakarot then realizes that Berserk Trunks is possibly their best chance against the female Perfect Cell. Right, so let's get into it. That's the recap real quick. Kakarot replays the events in his mind as Trunks rests in his chambers after going ballistic. Kakarot decides they should rest for the remainder of their stay, and Trunks seemingly has no recollection of his blind rage transformation. I think I'm going to call that transformation blind rage form, by the way. Eventually, they exit the time chamber, and Kakarot appears unbothered by the upcoming fight, while Trunks appears anxious, wondering if their training will be good enough to defeat Cell as the pair fly towards the direction of the signature of Perfect Cell. Kakarot is the first to greet the Bio android, who compliments their new armor outfits, while Kakarot smirks and engages in small talk with his soon-to-be opponent. But to the young adult's surprise, Kakarot announces that Trunks will be the first one to go against Cell, which surprises the boy. Cell mocks his decision and teases Trunks by saying this beating will basically be child abuse, but Trunks remains serious as he steps up to the challenge, believing and trusting in Kakarot's decision. Cell drops her smile when Trunks transforms into Super Saiyan, seeing that the boy didn't come to play around. Trunks raises his fist for battle and boldly states that Jiro's legacy ends here today with her death. And Cell says that she promises to end this quickly after she has a little fun. Trunks dashes forward on the offensive as Cell watches him as if he was in slow motion, easily dodging his strikes because his movements are easily telegraphed and predictable. He then fires a blast against the Bio android, but it is deflected with relative ease. But the blast gave Trunks room to get close as they then bob and weave powerful jabs from one another. Cell makes some room by kicking Trunks in the face, knocking him back by rattling his jaw. Trunks recovers, however, from the strike and blasts Cell to the ground with a burning attack. Kakarot watches the explosion with interest, wondering how much damage did Trunks cause to the green girl. Cell reappears smiling through the yellow smoke, seemingly unscathed, causing Trunks to feel frustrated at his lack of damage he caused in this fight so far. Let's see if Kakarot taught you how to dance, Blondie. Cell says as she puts on a maniacal grin, sending a barrage of blasts toward Trunks' direction, causing him to think fast as the beams approach. Trunks is forced to avoid the blasts in the air as the blasts follow him like heat-sinking missiles of energy. Trunks' body continues to dodge while his mind goes back to his training session with Kakarot as he remembers his Saiyan master's teachings. Then suddenly Trunks stops in his tracks as the barrage approaches his person, as he puts two fingers on his forehead, and then right before the blast can connect, he suddenly vanishes from view. He uses the instant transmission technique and kicks the Bio android in the back, completely catching him off guard. He then follows up his kick with a full power energy wave to the falling Cell, causing her to be shocked by the offensive maneuver. Trunks sweats from stamina drain as he looks down at the wounded unamused Cell glaring daggers at him, hoping that her looks could kill. Kakarot watches the aftermath of the damage and sees that the wounds were significant, but notices a grin on Perfect Cell's face. And then suddenly, to her challenger's surprise, she regenerates all of her injuries, taking Trunks totally off guard by the display. Cell's eyes narrow as she flies forward, no longer underestimating her opponent. As she contacts the hybrid's cheek with a high-speed punch, taking blood from his mouth when the blow connects. And after the blow connects, her fist opens up so her hand can drag Trunks' face across the rocks for maximum abuse as she begins to dominate the battle. Until Trunks flares up his aura into an explosive wave to get some distance from her assault. Cell then raises her fingers and prepares to fire a death beam at Trunks, who senses danger incoming. Trunks recognizes that technique because Kakarot had taught him to death beam himself back in the time chamber. Kakarot smiles as he sees Trunks aims his finger in retaliation, knowing the maneuver. And then suddenly the pair get into an energy shootout as they fire death beams at one another. Cell is impressed by Trunks' performance, but also notices fatigue setting in within Trunks as he pants. Raising her hand, she prepares a move to end the fight, telling Trunks it was nice knowing him. Cell then announces that this next trick will be a move from his very own father, Vegeta. An orb of malicious purple appears in her palms as Trunks watches Perfect Cell charge her Gallic gun. She yells out, "Gallic gun, fire!" and sends her blast towards Trunks, who decides to counter with a blast of his own, a Super Masenko. The blasts meet and kick up dust as they rattle the earth with their collision. Cell's move is constantly flowing with energy while Trunks struggles to match his force. Smashes the force. Kakarot watches the conflict on the edge of his seat, knowing that this is where Trunks needs to tap into that raw power within him, as he remembers the blind rage of the boy he fought against. In the last episode, Trunks looks defiant as he refuses to allow Cell the victory. And then suddenly his anger rises and his pupils disappear while his power increases. This boost allows the Masenko to consume the Gallic gun and overtake Cell, who is surprised by the sudden power creep. Cell is left legless with an arm missing as well as she looks on at the blind rage Trunks transformation with an actual look of fear on her face as she drips her blood on the surface of the earth. His presence shakes the ground as Cell looks at his new form with a hint of horror as she regenerates from the damages she previously suffered. Then the duo fly towards each other, ready to continue the fight. Trunks hits her hard, cracking her jaw like it was pottery. And before she can react, he begins to pummel her in the sky like a green rag doll, only to send her flying to the ground with a double kick to the spine, right between her wings. Cell looks at her opponent as her wounds close up and realizes this is now a physically outmatched battle, so she thinks of a plan for action. Her hand glows yellow as she decides to perform a Destructo Disc to cut down the freak that stands before her. She then hurls the Kienzan towards his direction and only manages to slice the cheek of the enraged Trunks. The act only further angers the young adult as he cracks the environment with his aura. And then he appears behind Cell in an instant and plunges his gloved hand through her chest before tearing her arm off along with half of her torso, leaving behind a very gruesome scene, like it was some type of Mortal Kombat fatality. Trunks then increases his aura as he incinerates the detached body parts like cardboard. And then suddenly the Super Saiyan Behemoth prepares a world-destroying blast aimed at Cell point blank, which surprises her because Trunks doesn't even care about his own planet in this enraged state. But then suddenly a transformed Kakarot intervenes by punching Trunks in the face, preventing the Earth's destruction. Cell is shocked by the assist, but Kakarot pays her no mind as he looks at the blind, enraged Trunks. Trunks' aura overpowers Kakarot as he looks at the new attacker in his battle stance. Kakarot tells Cell that they are going to have to work together to stand any chance at staying alive and save the Earth from this berserk Trunks. And after nodding heads, the two blitz forward towards the Titan Trunks. Trunks meets them in the middle with a haymaker to Kakarot's jaw. Cell sees an opening and kicks Trunks in the face during this attack, but does little to no damage. Trunks then rushes Cell in the sky, wanting to rip her apart like green construction paper. And as Trunks grabs the bio-android by both of her arms, Kakarot begins to flare his aura. Trunks looks down as he feels the air shift, as he holds the arms of the resisting Cell, watching Kakarot swell with power from below. Kakarot's muscles expand, and the ground sinks as he transforms into the bulky Super Saiyan Grade 3 transformation, causing Cell to marvel at the sight. Then suddenly Kakarot hits Trunks harder than last time, knocking the taste out of his mouth, forcing him to let Cell go from his grasp. Kakarot informs Cell that he is stronger in this form, but he is also slower, so they will have to mix his power with her speed to offset the difference with blind rage Trunks. Cell understands the assignment and sends quick jabs for Trunks to block and counter. And Kakarot takes advantage when he can by sending powerful shots at Trunks when he's distracted. And eventually Trunks adapts and catches the fist of Kakarot to his surprise. The chaotic force then dislocates Kakarot's jaw in a devastating counterpunch. Kakarot puts his jaw back in place as he glares at blind rage Trunks, until the both of them blitz each other, ready for war. The sky cracks and rocks slide as the pair go blow for blow, enraging the waters below. Bars. And while this is going on, Cell fires a super Gallic gun at the unsuspecting Trunks, but he catches the blast and starts pushing back the beam with his own strength. And while it's occupied, Kakarot sends a blast of his own aimed at his back and fires a death cannon. The blast overtakes Trunks and vaporizes the surrounding area with beams of bright purple light. Trunks emerges from the purple vapor with only scratches and cuts as he flies down, still as strong as ever and unamused. Dread sets in as the Alliance realize they're pretty much out of all options. Kakarot decides to communicate with Trunks as his final option. Kakarot yells at Trunks to come to his senses by telling him he hopes he can come to his senses for the sake of the future and this planet. Trunks then twitches at the sound of the word hope, and memories come into his mind about the time machine with the written words hope. And then suddenly his green pupils begin to reappear as Trunks fights back his blind rage for control of his senses, and Kakarot smirks, saying, "I knew you were still in there." Trunks powers down from Super Saiyan and apologizes to Kakarot, but the Super Saiyan tells him that he's been through far worse. Kakarot then looks back and gives the side eye to Cell before he tells her to get off the earth before he changes his mind, and Cell can't believe his offer. Perfect Cell smiles and tells Kakarot that they never got the chance to actually battle each other, and that she will return someday, expecting her fight. She then leaves the earth and flies into outer space, out of sight. And that's where we're going to end things. So y'all be sure to hit that like button, like the video, also subscribe, and comment your thoughts on this episode down below. I'm going to go ahead and get up on out of here. I'm out. Peace.